This advanced character animation is done entirely using After Effects and it's very easy to create. So let's see how to make this. Alright, so right now I'm in After Effects, and before we proceed, let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this face cam or not and what are your thoughts on this. So make sure to mention it in the comments. Now let's continue. Alright, so let's begin by creating a new composition. Let's call this one main. Width and height will be 1920 by 1080, frame rate 30 fps, and duration you can pick whatever you want. Just click on OK. Now instead of main, we can probably call this M because we are going to do this animation letter by letter. So I'm going to type motion and I'm going to type my first letter, which is M. So for that, let's begin by creating a background. Right click, new solid, and let's make it like off-white, sort of like that. Just click on OK. Now we are going to add our text. So select the text tool and I'm going to type just the first letter, which is M. Now let's select this, press S, and let's just scale this up quite a bit, something like that. Let's set this to 230. Yeah, I think this looks good. Now let's make this anchor point in the center. So hold down the control key, double click on this. Now it's in the center. Let's align it to wherever we want. So I'm going to like place it somewhere around here. So I'm going to create this animation letter by letter, and that's why we are creating the first letter, which is M. And I'm using this Gigalips font, but again, it's completely up to you. You can use whatever you want. So first we can select this, press R. Let's rotate it a little bit to give it sort of an interesting look. Now we are going to add our ball, which is going to be our hero, because this is going to drive our whole animation. So for that, you can select the ellipse tool and hold on the control key and just click and drag to create a circle, something like that. Perfect. Now we are ready to animate it. So for the animation, it's completely up to you. You can like make it animate and come from whatever side you want. You can like make it come from the right side, left side, top, bottom, whatever you want. But for this example, we are going to do a basic coming from the bottom somewhere around here. So we basically want this ball to like come like this, then it will bounce on this M, then it will go back down here. So let's create the basic animation and let's proceed by selecting this and add a keyframe for position. So this is going to be our initial position. Also, I'm going to make sure that its anchor point is in the center. So look, let's select this, hold on the control key and double click on this. Now it's in the center. Now here we have our first keyframe. Let's zoom in and let's go to somewhere around 10 frames like that. Now we can select this and I'm going to like basically create the very rough path. So at first our ball will like go to the top somewhere around here. Let's move like 10 frames ahead as well. Then our ball will come down and it will hit M somewhere around here. Then let's move like 10 frames again. And then our ball will bounce back somewhere around here. Let's move like 10 frames ahead. And after that it will come down somewhere around here. So this is the basic path that our ball will follow. Now if I press play, our ball is following the path, but it is not that interesting because we have to tweak this further. So now right away you can see that these lines are like very straight, but in real life the motion does not follow these many straight lines. It is always in a curve or arc. So we can easily achieve that by simply selecting this pen tool like that. Now we can go to this point somewhere around here. Now if I click and drag, you can see that it will create these handles, and let's just create it something like that. Now you will notice that it will make this path a lot smoother. So our ball will like follow this like that. Now after this point, we want this ball to like go to this, and you can just simply click and drag. You can see that it will create these curves. Now let's just align it wherever you want. So I think this looks better. Now if I press play, you can see that our ball is like already looking a lot better than earlier. But again, we have to do a lot of things. So the next thing is we have to play around with the timing of it and the easing. So for the easing part, let's select all the keyframes and let's press F9 to ease them. Let's go to the graph editor. Now if a graph looks different, make sure you're using the speed graph, not the value graph. So let's see how this works in real life. So in real life, if you throw a ball, it will start initially very fast, and at the maximum height, it will like sort of slow down or kind of stop, and then it will like start accelerating, and at the impact point, which is over here, it will have the maximum velocity, and after that it will like bounce back very quickly. Then it will go to this height like very slow, and after that it will start increasing its speed to this point. So let's mimic this using these keyframes as well. So first we want this ball to like start very quick, and we want this to like go over here very slowly. So if I press play, you can see that our ball kind of stops over here, but we actually don't want it to stop. We actually want it to like follow a very smooth path. So for that we can like simply select these keyframes, and this is one of those techniques that I learned very later in After Effects, and trust me, this is very important if you want to like make continuous smooth motions. So the trick is, if you have any keyframes and you want to like move them continuously, you can see that right now it is going to this point, which is like actually 0, so it is kind of stopping over here. So if you want this to like have a very smooth path, what we can do is we can select these keyframes, and if I right click, you can see we have this keyframe velocity. Let's click over here. Let's check this continuous lock. So what this will do is, now if I select these keyframes, you can see that I can easily lift them. If I don't do that, let me just quickly demonstrate it over here, or I can just undo it. So now I have like unchecked these, and now if I move, you can see that this keyframe is like moving independent of this one, and we have to like move these two like somewhere around here, which is not that good. So what we can do is we can simply lock these keyframes by using this method like that. Now what we can do is we can like move them at same point like that. Now let's quickly play around with their timing as well. So I think somewhere around here we can like have this keyframe like this. I want my ball to be somewhere around here, and let's move like little bit more ahead. So somewhere around here we can have our impact. Let's move these keyframes closer, and let's go somewhere around here 20. I want this to be like this, and this part we can have little bit of gap because this is little bit of longer path as it is going down. Now let's quickly change their easing. So select everything. Let's go to the graph editor. Let's tweak this part first. So in the beginning, as we have discussed, the ball will start fast. So we can like move it like that. Now after that, it will start slow. So for that, we can like move this keyframe over here. But you will notice that again, we have the same problem. The ball will stop over here. So we can fix that by selecting these. Let's toggle this. Let's go to keyframe velocity and check the continuous, and we can do the same thing over here as well, because it is basically the same path in the reverse direction like that. Now what we can do is we can select this path and we can like lift it up as well, something like that. Now let's just place this somewhere around here. Now we can tweak these paths. So we want this to be like start slow like that, and at this point we want this to be very quick. So we can select these keyframes. Let's move them closer. And again, as it is like bouncing very quick, we want this to be quick as well. So we can like move this keyframe like this. And again, since we have like continuous lock, we can like lift these keyframes. And while it is going to this point, it will be very slow because it is going to the maximum height somewhere around here. So I can do it like that. Now after that, it will start increasing its velocity, but from the stop, and it will have somewhere around here the peak velocity, and it will go back. Now if I press play, you can see we have this ball, and already you can see that it is looking a lot better. Now our ball is coming in and it is bouncing. Now there are a lot of things that you can tweak here. The first thing is that you can tweak the path itself. So instead of selecting the pen tool, make sure that you have the selection tool. Now you can like select any of these keyframes and just move them wherever you want. So we basically want this to have a very natural path. So I can like place this at an angle. We can like move it over here. Trust me, these things like make very big impact on your animation like that. So we can like tweak this further. Let's just make it like that. So I think this looks good. Maybe we can like make it more fast like this. Perfect. Yeah, I think this looks good. So we have this ball coming in and it bounces and it goes back. Now in order to make this like more impressive, what we can do is we can simply apply an effect. Let's search for echo. Let's drag it onto this ball. Now there are a couple of settings that you can play around. So first is echo time. So I'm going to just set this to like negative 0.001 like that. Now I'm going to increase this number of echo because it will create the trail behind our ball. So I'm going to set this to something like, let's say 25. And under the echo operator, I'm going to set this to maximum because we want this to be like completely black. Now if I press play, you can see we have this very nice, this trail path following our ball. If I uncheck the echo, you can see that we only have this ball, but again, it's completely up to you. Now there is one more cool tip. If you apply fill and let's just drag it over here, let's place it like before the echo, or you can like duplicate this layer and let's delete the echo from here and the fill as well. Now you can see that we have this ball and it will have this very nice colorful red path. But for this example, I'm going to like keep this to black. Perfect. Now if I press play, you can see we have this animation and it's look absolutely beautiful. Now let's animate our text as well. So let's select this, and at this point you can see that this ball is hitting this M. Now from here we can have a position keyframe. Let's add P. Let's press R for rotation. Let's press U to see all the keyframes. Now let's move somewhere around here. What we can do is we can have a simple rotation to this. Since the ball is like bouncing from this point, so we can like rotate it into this direction. These are some few things that you have to play around because these make your animation look like really good. Let's move it into the anti-clockwise direction, and also let's move it down below somewhere around here, like it has been impacted by the ball. Now since the ball is like impacting it at a very high velocity, we want these keyframes to be something like that. So in the initial point we can like move these keyframes all the way to this left side. Now if I press play, you can see we have this ball coming in, and as it is like impacting this, we have this very nice motion. Now we don't want this to like stop here, so we can select these keyframes and let's move them a little bit far away so that they stop after some time, like that. So here we are done with our first character. Now in the same way we can start animating the other characters as well. Now I'm not going to do everything, but I'm going to like show you very quick method in which you can like create all of these characters. So let me just show you. So before we continue, if you enjoy my work and you want to support me, then you can check out my Patreon page. Over there you will get access to the tutorial project files and exclusive templates that are available only on Patreon. Make sure to check it out. Link for that is in the description. Now let's continue. So here we have created this M. Now I can simply press Ctrl D to duplicate this. Let's rename this to O. Now we don't want to see this layer. We can just simply open this up O, and instead of like creating everything from scratch, we can like do it from here only. Let's select this. Let's type O. So here we have the O. Let's remove these keyframes and we can like just place it however you want. Let's keep it over here. Now there are a few things that you have to keep in mind. So as if I go back, you can see that we have this letter and the ball is coming in and it is going down. So for our next letter, we want this ball to come from top because it is going down in the last frame. So it will come from top and we can have it like bounce over here, then it can go back, or it can like bounce to this side as well. Again, it's completely up to you. Let's quickly do that. So all we have to do is just simply select this, and what we have to do is just simply move these points wherever we want. So we can like select this and I can move it to this point, because we basically want this ball to like come in very quickly and it will bounce and then it will go to this side. So let's just select this point as well and let's move it to this point. Now you can see that we have these curves, but again we can like get rid of a couple of these. Let's delete this and we can probably select this and just play around with the path. And let's place the over here so that it will impact like this. Now you can see we have this ball. Again, we can play around with the curves. So we don't want this curve to be like that. So we can delete this keyframe as well. So let's press delete like this. And instead we can select the pen tool and let's just have this very simple smooth animation. And in the beginning, we can also have this path. So here you can see we have only 3 keyframes and we don't need any extra keyframe because the path is like pretty much very simple. All we have to do is just play around with the easing. So let's select these and let's just make it like that so that the impact is very good like that. So already you can see that this animation is looking amazing. Perfect. So I think this looks good. Maybe we can like make this a lot faster like that. Something around here. If you think that this is too much, then you can like stick with the earlier one. Yeah, I think this works too as well. So now as it is coming and it is hitting O somewhere around here, let's just place it something like that. Now again, we can do the same thing. Let's add keyframe for position and rotation. Let's move like a little bit ahead and let's move it to something like this and let's just move it down below. Again, we can do the same easing. Let's select them, press F9. Let's select these keyframes and let's change the graph to look like that. Now again, if I press play, you can see we have this very beautiful animation like that. Now you will notice that our ball is like going to the right side. Now we can do the same thing with the other letter. So MO, let's press Ctrl D and let's go inside, and over here we can have our T. So instead of this, we can type T And again, we can change its position, rotation, because we don't want to like keep on doing the same thing. So we can have it like rotated this way, and instead of like moving it or rotating, we can like simply have a ball coming from here and it can bounce and go down. Let's quickly do that. We can like place it somewhere around here, because our ball is like going in the right frame like that. So in this one, let's quickly rename this to T. So in this one, we can have it come from this point, and somewhere around here, we can, instead of going here, we can like move it down, something like that. Again, we already have the easing, so you can see that it will already look good. Now you can play around with the timing as well. Let's have a little bit of delay, or maybe let's move this closer. So something like that. Yeah, I think this looks good as well. Let's have a rotation and position keyframe. Let's just rotate it like that, because it is hitting at the top. And let's just move it to this side. F9, let's change the curves. And let's just do it like that. Let's move it to this point like this. Now if I press play, you can see again we have this very perfect animation, just like that. Now let me just quickly go ahead and do this for all the other letters as well, and I will come back once it is done. Now I have created all the characters, and let me just quickly show you. So here we have this I. So after this I, we have this O, which I created like this, and at last we have this N. Now for the N, I have already typed my whole letter, which is MOTIO, and instead of placing the N right over here, I have placed it over here. And you can see that as we are moving from this point, you can see that our ball like jumps and it goes to the top angle. So in the next frame, what I did was I just simply made this ball come from the downside, and as it hits the N, it goes down back, and our N flies to its original position like this. So this is how you can like have your one character at last, and it can like simply bounce back from this ball, and it can like go to its original position. Now this is exactly same thing that we did over here, but instead of like moving it randomly to like this point, we just moved it to wherever we want our last character to be. So once you're done with this, we have to like combine this, and there is one more thing that you have to pay attention while you are combining. Let me just quickly show you. Let's combine that by simply creating a main composition, and rest of things will remain same. Just click on OK. Let's quickly drag all of these compositions. So we have this M, O, let's add T. So now I have added all the compositions, and we are going to like add them one by one. So let's just move them ahead. So now as our ball is coming, we have this M. Now as soon as our ball is like going down, we can have our next letter coming in, but instead of coming it right away, we can like have a little bit of ball showing like that, and we can trim the beginning. So it will look like our ball is like moving down and it is coming from the other frame like that. Now in the same way as it is going to the next frame, we can have it like start appearing from this one. So somewhere around here, let's trim the beginning as well. Now let's press play, and you can see that our ball is like already looking like it's moving across these letters and these frames. And since it is moving down somewhere around here, we can like have it come from the top like that. Let's trim this as well. Now as it is going down, we can like bring it back up from this point. Let's trim this, and at last we can like place it somewhere around here, and as it is coming up like that. Now if I press play, you can see that our ball is moving very nicely through all of these frames, and at last you will have your final logo or whatever text you have. So this is how you can create these kind of advanced character animation, and I hope you learned something from these ones. And if you have any queries or questions, then you can ask in the comments below. Also, the project files for these tutorials are available on Patreon, so if you're supporting me over there, then you can download it from there, and if you're not, then you might consider it, because you will get access to the tutorial project files and exclusive templates that are available only on Patreon. So make sure to check it out. Link for that is in the description. And with that being said, my name is Abhishek, and I'll see you in the next one.